burning question for businesses right now is, how are you going to find new business right now and in the future? The playing field has been levelled, and although the bulldog spirit is rising, your business is only as good as the content you've got on your website. You can't send your salespeople out, and you can't connect like you could before because everybody's on their mobiles and working from home. And the first impression a prospect gets is the salesperson's bedroom wardrobes or their kids doing handstands. It's pretty easy for marketing people to say, let's start doing loads of emails to get back on top. But that's what everybody else is doing and going to do, because they don't actually understand that there's always been a problem with marketing, and it was there before all this lockdown kicked off. So if your marketing department or marketing team or agency haven't come up with a plan yet, or if they have, either way, you really need to watch the rest of this video to consider your options and compare the two suggestions, as in theirs and ours. And that's what this video is about. We both know marketing wasn't working properly before, and it wasn't delivering the results. And it's certainly not going to change now. Far from it. What I'm going to cover initially is a bit about why B2B marketing has been failing for decades and bringing us up to date with the 2020 lockdown, and what you need to do now to protect your business. I'll also touch on the numbers and how making a change now will have a positive effect on your cash flow, your P&L, and future income. And finally, I'll kind of have a chat about what technology you can use and how you can get the ball rolling to sustain you and your business. So you could say like pre-lockdown marketing, if you want to call it that. But as a director, you have to know why B2B marketing has been so bad. So if we take a quick look at what's behind all this. Now, I've spent years in sales and marketing, and I've done some very specific research, and we've identified that most businesses have been selling the same way since the 1950s. And by that I mean lead generation was done by a salesperson who sniffed out a prospect. They called to make an appointment. They presented a case for the product. They did the demonstration. They closed the deal, and they went back to the office and rang the bell. Kind of happy days. And if any marketing was done, it was, you could say display adverts or coupons or special offers that forced a prospect to call the company. Now, marketing and lead gen is done by trying to tempt or force a business to give you their email address in return for some desired online hidden content that was behind a curtain. If they take the bait, the salespeople use LinkedIn to find the contact details and call them up, pleading for an appointment. And we both know the success rates of that are virtually zero, because the response you normally get, and it's what we would say ourselves, is, "What are you talking about? I was only looking." The issue or the problem is 60 to 70% of the sale is done without you or I even knowing that prospects, or even knowing who the prospects are or what the prospects are doing, because what their activities they're researching at the end of the day and investigating online what they can do with your type of equipment or software or service before they even look at your particular website or contact you. And the reason this has been happening for so long, unfortunately, is the fault of marketing directors or chief marketing officers telling managing directors, well, that's how it's always been done. It's always been done this way. But if you have a look, for the past 5 years or so, according to the press, chief marketing officers and senior marketing personnel have only held on to their job for 18 months before they're fired or moved on. And businesses like yours never get to see, and the reason I'm saying this is it happens because businesses like yours don't get to see the new business needle move, and the CMOs kind of naturally fail to warrant their high salaries, so they get kicked out. And you think, right, who are they? Let's go and find someone else. And they come in and tell you a good story. You think, okay, well, great, we'll speak to them then. And so it continues. And I would probably say that the reason it continues, it's because the new people that come in, they also keep marketing like it's the 1950s and try to convince people to download something or other, so marketing can get their email out in an attempt to contribute to making an appointment. A while ago, I wrote an in-depth article about this, about consultants and CMOs in 2020, which you can find on our blog. It also provides a completely redefined organisational structure. I'd say it's definitely worth a read. I also think it's the real objective of digital transformation. But you have to get a handle on this before you move forward, before you do anything. Otherwise, you're just going to go from the frying pan into the fire. So today, right now, we've got two problems. Apart from the lockdown, there's two problems in terms of our businesses. And the first is or rather the two problems are keeping in contact with existing customers and then making contact with new ones. So keeping in contact means you have to have a useful and informative website using web chat, frequently, FAQ pages, quick responses to emails when people do contact you. You also have to maintain a social presence, but we're not talking about posting every 5 minutes, but just showing that you're connected and visible on certain platforms. You've then got to exploit video. I mean, in all its forms, as well as recording podcasts and creating properly structured articles and blogs. And the reason for all this is that neither you nor I can second guess the kind of format someone wants to consume information. So as business owners, we've actually got no choice. Now, all of these content avenues or activities are to help inform and educate and demonstrate genuine transparency and that you're a great company to be connected with, no matter who or where they are. So when you look at making contact with new customers, businesses have to be attracted, or rather businesses have to be attractive. You have to be attractive, and you have to draw prospects to you. And how do you do that? Well, like I just said, by doing all the things I just mentioned that make your existing customers want to keep in contact with you in the first place. I suppose there has to be the money shot, if you want to call it that. So before I go any further, you've got to do the maths. You've absolutely got to do the maths. Salespeople are going to hate me for this, but the fact is they're already getting furloughed, like so many other people. And hopefully it won't end up becoming a long-term termination and everybody blames the government. But by adopting these strategies, you'll be able to reduce the number of salespeople. Perhaps you can redeploy them and actually get to the point where you're only connecting with people who are genuinely interested in buying from you. So if you get your content right, it works for you 24/7. It doesn't get paid commission. It never asks for a raise. There's no car, there's no expenses, and the list goes on. The bottom line, your content plays into that silent conversation that you're not involved in and does all the prep work by attracting new inquiries. That's the 60 to 70% you're not speaking to at that time. So the short and long-term cost savings are really significant, especially as most businesses are unable to break that ceiling of generating more than about, 100 to 150 grand per person per annum. And that's why so many businesses are failing right now, because they can't continue for more than a few days or weeks before everyone gets let go. So, to give you a comparison, Apple has, or perhaps had, a turnover per person per annum of 2 million. Google was 1.1 million. Amazon's 290 grand, but they've got 700 and, or nearly 800,000 people working for them. And then there was a camera accessory, camera bag manufacturer called Peak Design. And they've got a turnover of like 1.4 million per person per annum, and they've only got about 40 staff. So I suppose the way to present this is, if you like what I've been saying, you might be encouraged to talk to us about doing something. Maybe some of the work or all of your marketing work. Who knows? But if you're like me, you'll research everything we've got on our website and pretty much do everything yourself. Why shouldn't you? You've probably been in business long enough. And that's the point. That's why we've spent so much time developing Sales Exchange and building a community of leaders who can weather storms like this and keep their businesses afloat. And the reason being, it's all because of the flow of valuable information, with you not being reliant on the old-fashioned marketing techniques that have been failing businesses for decades. Now, so whether you do everything yourself or you talk to us, I really urge you to keep listening just for the next few minutes as I explain what we would do for you over the next few weeks or months. So firstly, I'm going to make a few practical assumptions. In the first instance, you're connected to the technology industry in some way, shape or form. Secondly, your business has been affected by this 2020 lockdown and pandemic. And thirdly, it's on your mind. Your business and marketing and so on is on your mind, and you may have to be forced, or you may be forced to actually review it. Now, I've already mentioned a variety of practical points that explain why there's such a problem in marketing. So I suppose I better tell you, so who are we? What are we about? Sales Exchange is a B2B marketing consulting agency that uses video, podcasts and article marketing in-house. So basically we practice what we preach. I mean, if you take a look at any number of marketing businesses just online and see for yourself how many actually use video and podcasting in-house for their own business. They might be recommending you go and do it, but see how many actually practice what they preach. Now, in addition, we're building a business community to help organisations like yours connect with a marketing company like ours that actively encourages businesses like yours to do your marketing in-house. And if you don't want to or can't do some or all of the work yourself, look, here we are. We're on hand, we're online, and we can do it for you, and that's fine. But after 30 years or so in business, I know there are people who are like me and will get on with it and do it themselves. And that's why we developed the first part of this process called Social 334 as a starting point, and provided all of the information you need, downloadable from our website, and without you having to give us your email address. And there's a specific point for that, which you probably guessed already. Then there's also the people, I guess, or I hope, who will like me and ask me and Sales Exchange to get involved with their business. So whatever you choose to do, I suppose the best way of putting it, this would be our approach. And bearing in mind, in marketing, there are a lot of moving parts to keep an eye on. And so it's not so much taking it with not a pinch of salt, but you have to bear in mind it's a bit like a conductor in an orchestra. So firstly, in this present situation, working with you, we would operate as a virtual marketing director. And to do that, I'll go over to my screen. I'll show you some of the stuff that we've got on online on screen and so on. So initially, we have to, I suppose the best, we're going to have to talk. We can't just do this by email. And basically what we would say is we'll talk and have dialogue, and we'll prepare a marketing plan that you and other people in your organisation agree on. And to develop that plan and execute it, we would connect with and work with your staff, and we'd do that over Zoom or Skype or YouTube Live or whatever. So if we start with articles and that type of content first, we'll review and write articles based upon Google's recommended structure, and it's called schema, but it's a schema layout. So it'll appear on page 1 of all the relevant searches. But don't get too hung up on the SEO. You're probably, I guess, in a niche market, and so there'll be very little search volume. But it's the Google logic per se behind the structure and the way that you need to structure your articles, and it's extremely sound, and it works. I mean, we've got a separate article about that, about SEO and how your content needs to look. That's on our website if you want to take a look. So when it comes to videos, what we would do, we would prepare the scripts, prepare the screen direction, and create the content for the videos if need be. I mean, the videos, at the end of the day, they need to help your viewers and not be about the company per se. I mean, your customers and clients want to experience and see your transparency and honesty and commitment towards them. The videos need to be about your customers, how you can help them and what you can do for them. So once you get thinking about this, it is the process becomes easier to come up with all the different titles and so on. And if you haven't got any, in terms of images for the equipment you've got or product photos and so on, we'll sort them out as well and do the product shots for you as well. So even if it means doing green screen and inserting images of your offices in the background, we'll take care of that as well. As we've got some examples here that some of the stuff we've done, so you get an idea for this. This is not, I say it's not complicated. You just got to know how to do it. And one of the processes, we'll come on to that later, about training your guys to do it. Moving on to podcasts, we'll produce and record the podcasts that can, just for the moment, include you dialing into our system, and we'll edit them and upload them to Spotify and Apple and so on. So the podcasts need to kind of be a part entertaining and engaging and so on, but this can easily be done and achieved by having more than one person hosting and interviewing other people. Again, I mean, it's about corralling different people to do different podcasts, and it just keeps the content fresh and interesting. I mean, there are various ways we can arrange this, even if it means shipping some new podcast equipment or a platform to your staff, and we'll talk them through the setup and so on. And we use the Rodecaster Pro, which is a blinding piece of equipment. It's pretty straightforward to use. And one of the key things, like we've got here, is just having decent microphones. But that's something that we'll go through with you as well. There's another thing called an A10 Mini, and it's made by a company called Blackmagic. And what it is, it's probably the best piece of kit you can get, because it's called a switcher. And it enables you to look at one camera and then another, and then a computer screen, and I mean, all in all, it helps to better train staff to use this new technology over video conferencing. But this kit also enables you to connect multiple cameras and feed them into a Zoom call or a Skype call, and pretty much help you nail every presentation you do compared to your competition. Now, in terms of our own website, I mean, we've got articles and blogs and videos and downloads and you know, a raft of things there for you to look at. But we'll review your existing assets, your website, your design, the brochures, articles, all that kind of thing. And I think part and parcel of it is to review your customer's experience as a user experience. And if you look at this, there's some diagrams that we've got on our site here. If I show you this particular page, it shows the customer's journey and how you can edit and adapt your customer's journey for them to experience your setup better, if you see what I mean. Then finally, we're looking at reviewing digital selling. So I'm not talking about e-commerce. Now, what I mean by digital selling is for you to help develop your infrastructure to enable you to communicate, demonstrate, and present in the most professional way possible with the least amount of effort or expense. Now, without going into all the detail, I'm suggesting that you set up a multi-camera video mini studio, if you like, and at your offices to be able to stream over Skype or Zoom or on24 or WebEx, whatever you're used to using, or if not, get one of them in. Which means your demonstrations and meetings and presentations will look spectacular. Then you can use the same kit for streaming live over LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, or Facebook Live. So whether you use it for live streaming or recorded is up to you. And on top of that, the same kit can be used to create video content, which can be edited and polished with, dubbing music over it and titles and so on. And finally, you'd use the same kit to take in-house photos and headshots and so on. But I tell you one thing, before you think that there's loads of expense and time, you have to kind of marry all of this up with the way that I suppose work and commerce is changing. And I tell you what does take a long time is the editing. But if you use the switcher, you can do it all live. And you can deliver a genuine presentation and record it direct to your laptop. And when it's been done, upload it to YouTube. I mean, there's much less work involved. It's just a bit of setup, but we can do that over video conferencing. But at the end of the day, as long as you've got some cameras, and you can spend thousands of pounds on cameras, or not, as long as they've got HDMI cables connections for them, you're away. You can use them. So there's another part to this. If you've got iPads, there's some pretty cheap teleprompting systems and solutions that you can use. I mean, I'm using my iPad for it now. So at the end of the day, to put too fine a point on this, by changing the way you're able to communicate and engage with your customers online, it'll have a threefold effect. Firstly, you'll elevate your business above the competition from a professionalism perspective. And secondly, you'll exponentially increase your reach and accessibility. And thirdly, I mean, at the end of the day, you'll dramatically reduce your costs in terms of sales staff or BDRs or business development reps and travel costs and so on. So all I'm suggesting is that you review the future of your business and get a new sales and marketing strategy in place as soon as possible. I mean, your business and your future actually depends on it. As I mentioned before, you've got to do the maths. I mean, this approach will increase your bottom line quicker than any other method or approach that you've ever attempted in the past. I mean, the next step is up to you. Like I said, you can check us out by looking at our website, our articles, our videos, our podcast, our downloads. You can also see how we're set up and how we approach helping businesses like yours. So, if you're compelled to do this all yourself, great. I really hope I've given you the necessary encouragement to jump in and go and do it. If not, you can contact us and we'll get onto it right away. So, there's one final thing just before I finish. I just want to tell you about something that we've set up called it's a syndicates program. Now, this is where we bring together 5 businesses who sell to the same audience but don't compete with each other. So what we do, if you're interested and have a look at it, the way it works is we do the matchmaking, so we bring the businesses together, and once everyone's met, probably on a conference call, and if you're up for it, we build a group website and do all the marketing to each other's customers within the group. All 5 businesses share the costs, and you get to increase your reach by about 400% virtually overnight. I mean, it's seriously a great way of finding new business, and by direct introductions, you get to keep your annual marketing costs to an absolute minimum. Take a look on our website for a bit more information, and let us know if you want us to put your name down as being interested. I mean, that's just where it starts, and then we'll be in touch and we'll see how it moves on from there. But that's it. That's it from me for now. I hope all of this made sense. And if you'd like to have a chat about how you can redevelop your marketing, and as I said, you need to be able to weather this storm. Our contact numbers are on the screen now, and they're on our website, and that just leaves me to say all the best for the future. Bye for now.